Hello friends, in today's video we are going to study consumer rights and consumer responsibility. The Consumer Protection Act has provided 6 rights to the consumer so that the consumer can use them at the time when they have been exploited by the business concern or the business people. So they can use this right and get justice to them and get the various reliefs available through law. So there are 6 customer or consumer rights which are available to the consumer. So we are going to study those consumer rights one by one. The first right, consumer right to safety. Second right, right to be informed. The third, right to choose. The next one, right to be heard. The fifth one, right to seek redressal. The sixth one, right to consumer education. The first right, right to safety. According to this right, the consumer has right to be protected against goods and services which are hazardous to life and health, which means those goods which are dangerous to the life and health of the consumer should not be sold in the market and should not be provided to the consumer. For example, the manufacturer of the electronic appliance should use good quality and standardized raw material so that the quality of the electronic appliance is ensured, thereby protecting the health and life of the consumer. Even the consumer are advised to purchase only standardized goods. For example, in case of electronic appliance, to purchase ISI marked goods because the ISI mark electronic appliances ensures that they are good in quality and thereby protecting the life of the customers. So it is even advisable to the customers to buy only ISI marked goods. So the second right to be informed. According to this right, the consumer has the total complete right to get the total information about the goods or service which he wants to purchase. Information such as ingredients, date of manufacture, price, quantity, direction to use, etc. should be provided to the consumer. Even it is a law and it is a rule and it is mandatory for the manufacturer to provide such information on the package or on the label of the product. The third right to choose. According to this right, the consumer has the total freedom to choose any product or service which he wants to buy. The seller or the marketer cannot force the consumer to purchase those good or service which he wants to sell. The fourth right to be heard. According to this right, the consumer has the right to file a complaint and to be heard in case of any dissatisfaction with a good or service. If a consumer is not satisfied with any product or service, he can make a complaint and the complaint has to be heard. This is the right of the consumer. And because of this, many enlightened business firms have set up their own consumer service and grievance cell where the consumer can file the complaint about the dissatisfaction which they experienced from a product and service and solve their problems and get solution to them. For example, we can take Amazon or Flipkart. They have opened their own complaint or grievance cell where a customer who has purchased goods or service from them can file a complaint if they find any dissatisfaction in that product or service and get their problem solved. And even many consumer organization and are working towards this direction in helping the consumer get their justice. The fifth right to seek redressal. According to this right, the consumer has the right to get various reliefs which are available according to law if he has been exploited by the business concern or if he is dissatisfied with a product or service. The Consumer Protection Act provides a number of reliefs to the consumer. Reliefs such as replacement of product, removal of defect in the product, compensation for any loss or injury suffered by the consumer are some of the are some of the reliefs which are available to the consumer. The sixth right to consumer education. According to this right, the consumer has the total right to acquire knowledge relating to various rights and reliefs which are available to him, so that he at the time when he's been exploited by the business concern, he can use his rights and get the various reliefs which are available to him. So the consumer has total right to get the entire knowledge relating to the rights and reliefs which are available to him. So, as if the consumer has a knowledge about the rights and reliefs available to him, then he can raise the voice against his exploitation and get justice to him. So, these were the six rights which are provided by the Consumer Protection Act to the consumer. When the consumer, when the law provides right to the consumer, at the same time, the law has uh, established and laid down several consumer responsibilities which the law expect the customer to discharge while at the time of purchase of goods. So the next topic is consumer responsibility. So what are the various responsibility which a consumer has to discharge at the time of purchase of the goods? So, consumer responsibilities. So, in our book, we have 10 consumer responsibilities which a consumer has to discharge at the time of purchase of goods. The first responsibility: be aware about various goods and services available in the market so that an intelligent and wise choice can be made. A consumer should be aware about the various goods and services available in the market so that he can make a wise choice by purchasing good quality of product at a reasonable price. The second point: buy only standardized goods as they provide quality assurance. Thus, look for ISI mark on electrical goods, FPO mark on food products, and hallmark on jewelry, etc. So, it is the responsibility of the consumer to purchase only good quality goods. So how can he ensure quality of the goods? For example, he has to buy ISI marked good in case of electronic appliance, and in case of food product, he has to purchase FPO mark goods, and in case of jewelry, hallmark. The third, consumer responsibility: learn about the risk associated with products and services, follow manufacturer instructions, and use the products safely. According to this responsibility, it is the responsibility of the consumer to read the user manual before the use of a product. The fourth responsibility: read labels so as to have information about prices, net weight, manufacturing and expiry date, etc. So it is the responsibility of the consumer to read the labels and the packing of the product before its purchase. For example, in case of medicines, it becomes very important to know the manufacturing date and expiry date, because if the expiry date has if the expiry date is expired and if the consumer consumes those medicine, it will be very dangerous to his health and sometimes even to his life. So the fifth consumer responsibility: assert yourself to ensure that you get a fair deal. The sixth point: be honest in your dealing, choose only from legal goods and services, and discourage unscrupulous practices like black marketing, hoarding, etc. So it is the responsibility of the consumer to buy only legal goods. Many times the consumer purchase, for example, those animals or pets which are banned in India or which are not allowed to keep at home. Even then they purchase those animals and keep at their home. So it is like it is illegal. So it is the responsibility of the consumer to buy only legal products and legal goods. And even the consumer should discourage practices like malpractices like black marketing and hoarding. The seventh responsibility: ask for a cash memo on purchase of goods or service. This would serve as a proof to the purchase made. For every purchase transaction which the consumer has done from the seller, he has to demand and ask for cash memo, because the cash memo serves as a proof to the transaction or the goods which the consumer has purchased. He can use this cash memo at the time of exchange of goods, or when he is not dissatisfied with those products. So he can use this cash memo for filing a case against the seller and taking legal action if the seller is not ready to exchange the good, or pay compensation to him. So he can use this cash memo to get justice. It is like a proof. So the eighth responsibility: file a complaint in an appropriate consumer forum in case of shortcoming in quality of goods purchased or service availed. Do not fail to take an action even when the amount involved is small. So it is the responsibility of the consumer to file a case and raise his voice against the exploitation caused by the business concern when he is not satisfied from the quality of the goods purchased or service availed. If there is any deficiency in the service, so he has to raise the voice and file a complaint. So it is a responsibility of the consumer. He should not fail to complain a case even if the amount involved is small. He should not uh, be quiet because just because the amount of the goods purchased or service availed is small. So the ninth responsibility: form consumer societies which would play an active part in educating consumer and safeguarding their interest. So according to this responsibility, the consumers are advised, and it is their responsibility to form consumer societies so that they can educate all the consumers about the rights and reliefs of the consumer, and also raise the voice in together in unity to get justice. Consumer responsibility play a very important role when it comes on creating pressure on the business societies for providing good quality of product at a reasonable price. The 10th responsibility: respect the environment, avoid waste, littering, and contributing to pollution. So it is the responsibility of the consumer to keep in mind the safety of the environment. That is during the purchase of the product, during the usage of the product, and after the usage of the product, the consumer should ensure that because of the product or service which he has purchased and availed, he is not damaging or causing any damage to the environment. uh, During the purchase, he has to keep in mind that he is not purchasing any good which is dangerous to the environment, and during usage also he has to keep in mind that he is not uh, damaging the environment, and after using he should not throw the package and labels or any waste material of the product anywhere on the road. He has to dispose it properly. He should not litter it anywhere. So these were the responsibilities of the consumer which the law expects from a consumer. That's all in today's video. If you like the video, please do subscribe, share, and like the video. Thank you.